Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome to a very special episode 5 of the Slap Happy podcast with Kondo and Kush. We're talking Tiger King today.
Yeah, Tiger King strictly. I love the opener, Ryan. All you cool cats and kittens. I've been hearing that in my dreams
I had
lately.
to get that in there somewhere. It's just haunting you, and understandably so. I knew I had to get that in there somewhere. I just wrote it down. We were planning to do this episode for a while. We had to talk about it. Everybody was talking about it.
I mean, just because everybody's stuck inside, this is what every single person is talking about and watching.
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I have something that I have to say first and foremost. I think I'm best friends with George Kittle now.
You are?
Yeah, he responded to me on Instagram, on his Instagram Live. I'll set the scene for you.
Yes, please.
I joined his Instagram Live just because it wasn't much else to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he was working out with his wife in their garage, and he has his trainer on the other line, or on the, he's live with them.
Yeah, okay. The trainer joined the Instagram Live.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, because he doesn't want to leave his house during this quarantine thing, he was just getting exercises from his trainer via Instagram Live, as one would.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just doing that. He was basically just working out, not really paying attention to the camera that much. But every so often, he would come up to the camera and just smile cheek to cheek.
Kind of like he did when he pancaked that Falcons safety earlier this season, or last season.
I feel like that's what he does whenever he doesn't have his helmet on. He's just smiling or lifting heavy weight.
You know which one I'm talking about, though, right? They were on the goal line. The Niners were going in. They scored a touchdown, I think, on the play. Yeah. And he just, flattened some Falcons defender.
He was on the right side, and he just he pushed him back 5 yards into the end zone.
It was like he was blocking a 5-year-old boy. And then he got up, and you saw him. He was just laughing hysterically, cheek to cheek. It was kind of like he was the Joker.
And it was a player on the Atlanta Falcons defense, so it potentially could have been a 5-year-old boy.
It could have been, yeah.
And so I was on there, started saying hi to some people, just a lot of people saying hi, nobody really asking questions. So I was like, this is my shining moment, my moment to get close to George Kittle. And I asked him, simple question, what we eating after this?
Ooh, okay.
George. I threw George in
there. Very respectful. I like that.
I just wanted to make it more comfortable. I mean, we're pretty much on a first name basis.
It sounds like it. So, if he responded to you.
And then he looked at it, didn't think he would respond. He gave it a few minutes. Maybe I was just lagging or something. Mm-hmm. And then he said, what we eating after this? And then paused as if he was trying to think of something crazy to say, or as if he was going to go on a long list of just items that he was going to chow down after this.
He had already been thinking about it, and he was trying to figure out a way to tell you the best way possible.
Well, he was doing this thing where he was doing overhead presses, and then he was just walking 10 steps back and forth while doing them. And it was absurd. So I can only imagine what that man was going to eat after. Anyway, he just said, what are we eating after this? I don't know, probably whatever's in my fridge. So wow. I didn't get that great of an answer.
I mean, that probably went without saying.
But he did respond to me. And there's this thing when you're not a popular person who gets a response from a famous person where you have to tell people about it. Mm-hmm. But I noticed they're telling this story in particular that there's really nothing cool about it at all. You think that it's awesome.
Right. I mean, at the beginning of this conversation, you were like, oh, George Kittle responded to me. We had a conversation, and I was like, oh, dope. And now at the end, it's kind of like, well, he gave a pretty sarcastic response to somebody that he doesn't know, and he doesn't even know that he did it now. He doesn't even remember that.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it as sarcastic, but now that you say it, that just makes me feel a little bit worse.
Say sorry, man. But I'm just here to tear you down.
Tear me down and build me back up.
Exactly.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
But if I asked you, what you were going to eat after you got done working out, and you said, I don't know, man, whatever's in my fridge. I wouldn't ever tell anybody about that conversation ever again.
Right. It would just slip your mind. It wouldn't be memorable at all.
Yeah. But him saying that to me basically means that we're best buds.
Right.
And he's probably a fan of the show, if anything.
Probably is.
He'll be a guest on the show pretty soon. Probably next week. I'm going to have to ask him. I mean, hopefully he's on Instagram Live again so that I can ask
That's the
him.
only form of communication.
Soon.
You can't reach out to him otherwise.
If he's going to be on next week, then he has to be on Instagram Live pretty soon. And we're going to work towards that.
Yeah, we got time.
He should answer. We got time. We'll see. Let's get into some Tiger King. So you kind of brought this up just quickly at the beginning on how we're just kind of locked in to whatever we're doing right now. And that's really nothing. So this show is really something other than nothing to do. Do you think the show would have had any popularity if we weren't locked down?
Like if we weren't in quarantine, I don't know if we would have been if this show would have been that popular.
Like I get it and I don't get it. People are attracted to crazy people, not in like a romantic way. Well, maybe in a romantic way.
Maybe
as
for
seen by the
some,
show.
sure. But I know what you mean. Like we like seeing stuff that's just absurd and just doesn't make sense and doesn't add up, so we can laugh at it and joke with each other about it.
And it just makes me feel better knowing that however shitty I feel about myself, I will never be that crazy.
How many times in the show were you you just said to yourself, what? Like, what just happened?
That's pretty much the whole show. And it's weird because the show starts out very funny. And then halfway through it, you're like, oh, this is actually kind of serious. Even though you can never take it fully serious because
I mean, you can't take anybody seriously when he's got like this weird piercing on his eye that, is drooping down 10 feet off his face.
That's not his only piercing. Oh. He's got a Prince Albert.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, and then his ex-husband has got like the tattoo on his crotch. I mean, might as well say Boner Garage, but.
No, it said property of Joe Exotic.
Yeah, I know. Privately owned Joe Exotic. The Boner Garage thing doesn't make sense because he's a dude, but you know what I mean.
One of the best moments of the show, speaking of the Prince Albert, is when he says, "Yep, it's pierced. I can put a padlock on there."
Wow.
So that does happen, which is possibly one of the craziest statements ever made. This show is a show of statements.
One thing that I was confused about at one point, I forget why it was brought up, but they brought up somebody having a $500 bill, and I don't even know that those exist.
That part. That's what makes the show awesome. Is you could point to anything, and someone could say, yeah, I didn't even notice that part, because I think I picked up on something that may be the best part of the whole show.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to get into that a little later on when we talk about our favorite characters. Sure. But the first thing I want to talk about is just my first reaction. As soon as I started watching it, I was like, you could tell me anything about these people, and I feel like I could believe their whole story. Like, these are the kind of people where you can say anything. Like, they robbed a bank, they run a lion farm or tiger farm out of their backyard. Mm-hmm. This guy has 3 husbands. And I'm like, yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Because each of them look crazy in their like own unique and crazy way.
Now, I want a couple lookalikes. I had a couple of the characters, and I thought I immediately were like, yeah, they remind me of this certain person. Like Joe Exotic kind of reminded me of Kid Rock a little bit.
Yes, I also had that note because I was going to talk about Joe Exotic's mullet as a former mullet
man yourself.
Mullet man myself, yeah. I think it's important to defend the mullet, and you just have to realize there's a difference between the two-tone mullet and a regular mullet. Like Joe has blonde on top and then his regular hair on the sides.
Yep.
And it's not the same as having just a regular mullet. It's different levels of crazy. I heard someone call Joe Exotic Joe Dirt, and I was honestly offended. Like Joe Dirt, very innocent, wholesome, like young man who found frozen poopy that fell from the sky and freed a dog whose nuts were frozen stuck to a porch. And like, that's debatably better than anything that any of these people are doing for animals. If Joe Exotic was a character from anything, he would be Kid Rock because he is kind of evil.
Well, I'm glad that we're on the same page with that, because like immediately right away I was like, yeah, Kid Rock. And then when I heard Joe Exotic sing, a couple of times they show the production for the music videos and they show a couple, he's not terrible.
Well, I have some bad news for you. Yeah. And this kind of answers one of the questions that I was going to ask.
And I did hear this rumor that I know you're about to say, but I wasn't sure if it was true or not.
It is very true.
Okay.
Very true. I've seen it everywhere, and I feel like it's been talked about a ton, so I didn't want to belabor it, but I knew it was him. I knew it wasn't him instantly.
Well, right.
As soon as I heard that voice, I was like, "That's not him."
You raised the question. Obviously, immediately you go, sounds way too good to be him.
I just didn't think it sounded like his voice at all.
Right. No, I agree.
So you had the speculation to start, but did you ever?
I mean, I never dug into it because I wanted it. I was rooting for Joe Exotic for some reason. At that point, he was the guy that I was rooting for. So I didn't want to dig into it anymore and tear him down anymore.
Well, in the beginning of the show, I think I was rooting for him a lot because he's the only one who's admittedly
it can change a little bit.
He was the only one that was admittedly insane. Mm-hmm. And he didn't really care. It wasn't like he was trying to cover it up or hide it and be like, I'm normal. What's your problem?
Any guy that shoots a blow up sex doll in the head with a gun is insane.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's not. Yeah. I'm saying that
I know.
He at least keeps it 100.
And he knows it for sure. I mean, there weren't enough holes for him in that doll.
It's just wild. I don't know how he could afford somebody to sing his songs. I am intrigued by that idea of who knew originally if he was singing. Mm-hmm. Since I knew right away, I want to know if I'm talented in that way, if I have a natural musical ear, which could be very possible. It's more of a thing about me because I tend to make things about me, and that's kind of why I wish more people knew it wasn't him at this moment, because I felt cool knowing that it wasn't him. And now that everyone knows, I kind of want to believe it's him.
Well, right. That was part of my thing. I was I was told that it wasn't him, and I was like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. There's no way he's that good. But part of me was I didn't look into it at all because I wanted it to still be true in my mind that he was that good of a singer.
Yeah. I have this fascination or this obsession with just being with the counterculture, where I wanted it not to be him at the start, and then once everyone knew it wasn't him, I wanted it to be him.
You did a full 180.
Yes.
Yeah.
As I did with most things, I think as most people caught on, or more people learned about the show, I think I've changed my just takes. I've had this thing for a really long time, really in the whole preparation for the show, and ever since everybody's been talking about Carole Baskins and all that stuff. She's just public enemy number one at this point. Yep. And I've been trying so hard to try to find a counter argument for why she's not as bad, but I honestly don't think I can find anything.
Now, I also had a lookalike who she reminded me of when I first saw her on screen. Carole Baskin reminded me of one of the girlfriends from Grown Ups, the old lady girlfriend. Okay. You know who I'm talking about?
The old one, the Rob Schneider one.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
She reminded me of
played that character. I'm not sure.
Just her. I thought they looked similar. They spoke similarly.
I mean, I could see. Yeah. And even the way that they, when she flirts with the cute guy that has the really high pitched voice, or the jacked guy, I should say. He's not really cute.
Yes, the jacked guy. Yeah, the pool.
I could see her doing that. I could see her becoming a literal cougar. I don't know if that's literal, but
I don't think so.
I guess it's more literal than just wearing the skin. I don't know. For Carole's sake, I just hope that she doesn't have a Twitter, because if she thought that it was rough in the streets when Joe was making YouTube videos about her, that maybe a couple thousand people watched. I was
going to say, probably just the state of Oklahoma knew about.
Yeah, and then probably not even the whole state.
Probably just that one county.
Yeah, now that this has been seen by millions, if she does have a Twitter, hopefully she's already deleted it or just not checked it, because I think they're hungry for blood out there.
She's going to be deep in the trenches there. She's going to be getting a trench foot pretty soon here if she's got a Twitter.
Gangrene.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly. Going to have to amputate.
Go Birds. I just think Twitter is possibly the closest thing we have on the internet to being the dark web. It's unlike any other kind of social media. Where Instagram is trying to present their best, like people are trying to present their best selves. I'm convinced that Twitter is just completely the opposite, where people try to be as evil as they can be. Like I just joined back, and I think before I tweeted anything, I already had like 8 death threats from people telling me to choke on my own blood. It's just mayhem.
I mean, I'm not on that Twitter. I got the other app where people are nicer than that. That definitely have never gotten a death threat.
I feel like people are so mean.
No, for sure. They sure are.
People going after everybody, like anybody who's famous, and like you have people going after people like Tebow and Russ Wilson, and just guys who don't really do anything wrong. So I can only imagine when you're a murderer or possibly a murderer, like what kind of messages you're getting on there.
It's like anybody could just tweet anything like, oh, it's just a beautiful day out today. Oh, fuck you, Karen.
Yeah, but you don't see anybody tweet, it's a beautiful day out today.
I'm just saying,
you just see people tweet
why
out. Why
would somebody get mad at that? Like, that's not something to get mad at, and people will say that, to your point.
And anything that Joe Buck tweets, the only person that I think it's fair to do that to is like just the most evil of the evil, like Carol Baskins, OJ, Booger McFarlane, any of those.
John Wilkes Booth
probably are the ones that's okay. Yeah, he's on there.
He's alive
and well. Did you have a favorite character from the show? I know you said you were a Joe fan.
Favorite? I don't know if like somebody stuck out to me during it. I liked Mr. Garrettson at the end just because he was funny to look at.
I don't know any of the names.
Oh, he was the big fat guy on the jet ski at the end. I mean, he was just funny to look at. I mean, I didn't like him. He was just funny to look at.
That's fair.
His haircut was top 10 worst haircuts I've ever seen.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Nothing that looked appealing on that man.
No.
That's kind of what you expect from somebody who just rats on everybody or just wants to be the snitch. He's the one who started the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, he was the snitch.
And you just expect it to be that kid who like just looked like that his whole life. I don't know. Like that's the kid who's been snitching since day one.
It's a kid like in high school who had really bad hygiene and he knew it, but he didn't care. And he still walked around and he was like eavesdropping on every conversation and telling teachers about, hey, Johnny and Susie are kissing in the locker room earlier.
He's like that kid who had the bad hygiene, but really, and like wanted to change it to be like, but also didn't want to like put in the effort to shower for 5 minutes. And then when he's playing Minecraft in his bedroom at 4 and his parents knock on his door and tell him to turn it down, he's just like, shut up, Mom. You don't know me.
He's probably one of those kids that stored flaming hot Cheetos underneath his man boobs.
Wow. I thought you were going to say underneath his pillow, but
no,
underneath his man boobs works as well.
Or his gut, somewhere on his body. He could be like, hey, can I get a Cheeto, my man? James, can I get a Cheeto? Hey, yeah, sure. Leaps up his lap, throws it right away.
And we don't fat shame.
No, that's cool. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I think that's
we do snitch shame.
That's yes, we do that. Stop snitching.
Yeah, if he wasn't snitching, then we wouldn't have to make any of these jokes about him.
Right. I mean, that's very empowering to have just Cheetos on you all the time.
I don't know. Like if he was fat and not a snitch, we wouldn't even have to make that joke. So blame it on him being a snitch. Don't come after us.
Stop snitching
on Twitter, saying that we're just like hating fat people, because we don't. We love fat people. Fat Albert seems like an awesome guy.
Fat Bastard from Austin Powers, those movies.
Some of the fattest people are the best people.
We're in agreement here.
Yeah. I think it just goes to show how, like I was talking about earlier, everyone's crazy, but there's just different levels of crazy. Like, you use a loofah. I sleep with 5 pillows, 3 behind my head, 1 between the knees, 1 hug, of course.
Sure.
But, like, everyone has a certain percentage in their brain that's made up of, like, craziness. And in that, I think, is, like, a unique degree to which the craziness is expressed. Like those charts you do in middle school, where you find out how, like, the color of somebody's eyes. I think it's the same thing with craziness.
So you think there's a formula we could come up with to, figure out every single person's craziness level?
Yeah, T equals MC squared, just tiger, MC squared.
MC squared. We We got to figure something out for that.
Well, I think that's just like multiple choice, right? Squared.
Yeah.
So you get a few options. I'm not sure where on that scale owning 200 tigers lays, but I think it's fair to say we're outmatched.
Yeah, that definitely outweighs. I mean, if we're putting each other on the, what was that balance? 8-beam balance? Is that what that was called back in middle school science? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm just thinking about the beam that you like the balance beam, and then the high and low bars. Are you in science or gymnastics?
I was doing science.
We're in different middle school classes.
Yeah, you're in gym class. I'm in science. I'm in lab right now.
Like I said, I think that's what draws us. It's the fact that we're not that crazy. Like that's what reality TV is, right? You just make fun of The Bachelor because this one guy's an idiot. You get to make fun of Jersey Shore because these people just go out and do like college things, even though they're 35 and one's like in jail for extorting money or something.
That's the draw of it. Nobody would watch it if it was just a normal life or a normal acting person.
Where would you put these people on the scale in comparison to the Kardashians? Because I think that's a lot closer than like you might think on first glance.
I don't have any, I've never watched a single minute of Keeping Up with the Kardashians or anything. I don't follow them at all, so I'm not sure.
That's a lucky. How do you pay? Like, do you have social media or anything? I feel like they just infiltrate everyone's world.
I mean, I know that they've dated some like Lamar Odom and Chris Humphries. That's about all I got.
That's all.
I mean, I don't know much more
not
about
even
them.
Like the Kanye West. Not even.
I mean, I guess
which one's married to Kanye West?
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay.
Like in terms of their craziness, I'm not too sure.
I think it's closer than people think. Or like, it's not a comparison that one would make. But when you bring up the idea, you're like,
What about their craziness as compared to Antonio Brown in the last 12 months?
Well, I think that one might be, because where you get me on the Kardashian thing was like the legal trouble. But I think AB compares favorably. And I love AB.
Yeah.
Like almost like a adopted son of sorts.
Your older adopted son.
Yeah, I mean, you can adopt at any age, I think.
I mean, probably, but it'd be kind of weird. I'm not sure that you can do that. Wouldn't you have to be old enough to adopt somebody who hasn't already aged out of, old enough to be, they age out at some point. You can't just adopt a 36-year-old man.
Well, first off, I don't know how old he is, but he's younger than 36. Yeah, I'm not
give him some he's credit. Definitely older than the age that you can adopt.
I think everybody needs like a father figure in their life.
Yeah, no,
not that I would be much of that, but I could try.
Yeah. I'm not sure that you could adopt somebody that is older than you.
I'll put it to the test.
That'd be hard. Yeah,
whenever AB's ready. Maybe even George Kittle.
You're going to adopt George Kittle?
I'll reach out to him about it too. I mean, I'll reach out to him about it. I'll see what he says.
We got a lot of stuff to get back to people about George Kittle next episode.
Did we ever? No, I didn't say my favorite characters. You said that you like the fat guy.
Yeah.
Kind of. Not the fat guy. The guy who, the snitch. The snitch guy.
Snitch. Not the fat guy, the snitch
guy. Mm. No. I mean, he is fat as well, but
we don't want to point that out. Because that's not our place.
Yeah, exactly. I have two favorite characters. Okay. I have like a 1A and a 1B. I don't know if the 1A counts. So that's why I have 1B. 1B is the guy with no legs. Not for that reason. But
that's
that might
how you identify him.
A little morbid. Yeah, I forget it. I don't remember anybody's name besides
I don't know
Joe
his
and
name.
Carol.
I wrote down other people's names, but I don't know his name.
Well, yeah, guy with no legs. Not for that reason. Like that might even be like a little bit morbid for me. But the fact that he's the most normal person in the show, that's saying a lot, seeing as he has a skeleton that like is from a 7th grade classroom in the passenger seat of his car. Mm-hmm. That's like kind of saying a lot that he's the most normal person. And he's the only one who seems like they have somewhat of a moral compass. And he just doesn't look like a character. He just looks like a guy from Oklahoma.
A classic guy. I've never been to Oklahoma, but you think he looks like the cookie cutter guy from Oklahoma.
Or just like the traditional country guy. He's like, his face is a little weathered. He's definitely has fake teeth. Definitely has fake teeth.
He's put on some.
Anybody who has teeth in that show has fake teeth.
He's done a couple hard days of work in his life. That's what you're saying.
Work and something else.
Yeah,
probably. But he wouldn't be the only one. He just looks normal, and like he might not be normal, but just the fact that he looks normal gives him a good 10 to 20 feet of like clearance from the next crazy person on the show.
He's head and shoulders above your 2 because he's your 1B.
Yeah. 1A. I don't know if this counts.
Okay.
But far and away, best appearance made on the show is the Power Tower. Now, did you see the Power Tower?
The Power Tower? You're gonna have to dig a little deeper for me.
So, anyone who doesn't know what a Power Tower is, Power Tower, one of those things that you do dips on, and you can do pull-ups on them, and all that kind of jazz. Are you getting an image of what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay. There's one point in the show where they're interviewing Carol and asking her about her dead husband or something. And they show the background of their living room, or they show her in her living room answering the question. And just right there, and smack dab in the middle of her living room is a Power Tower.
Wow.
I had so many questions. Like, who is using that in their house?
Right. What purpose is this serving?
The live husband looks like he's at high risk for the Rona.
Yeah,
so I can't imagine he's just pounding out dips.
He's not doing a ton of exercise, I don't think. He's did you notice him singing there at the end? One of the last episodes?
Yeah.
Just singing randomly?
That
was kind of weird.
Very creepy.
Very uncomfortable.
And I feel like if Carol used it, she would make a huge deal out of it. Like, we would have seen her on that while answering questions in the leopard print working up sweat.
Like, oh, yeah, I do dips.
She would be doing them and then probably like in a gasp of breath when she on the way up just be like, yeah, I do dips.
She would have been like, no,
like,
at the time that they're saying that my ex-husband or my husband was fed to the tigers, I was in here doing dips. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
And then she'd just be pounding them out. She would probably like, you could probably see somebody below her, like just lifting her feet up. They would only show the top of her,
right?
Like a David Blaine illusion. And it's so out of place. And I think I feel bad for it more than anything. Like, it's just a Power Tower. It didn't ask to be a part of this.
You feel bad for it?
It's not the Power Tower's fault that it's owned by an insane person.
Right.
It can't get up and go. It doesn't have agency. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? Like, at least the tigers could just attack or trying to climb out of there or out of the cage like Batman did in that Bane thing where he threw him into a hole in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Like, the Power Tower doesn't even have legs. That thing's not going anywhere.
Neither does your other guy.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That was messed up. My bad. Sorry.
He actually has really cool legs.
He does. They were like some weird design. I wasn't quite.
They had like graffiti on them. Yeah. It was kind of awesome. That might be a reason why he's 1B, if I'm going to be honest. Mm-hmm. And not like 1B as in like 1B and not 1A, but like 1B, a solid 1B.
Yeah.
Everybody's talked about this, but like we'd be remiss not to talk about the fact that they wait so long, or to say that it wasn't because of the tigers, because that's what you're thinking the entire time.
Well, like that other girl that has one arm.
All you're thinking is, oh, he's going to talk about it. It was because of the tigers. It was because of the tigers. And then no, not that it's like a letdown, because it's a pretty crazy thing.
It's like in Hot Tub Time Machine, the guy that loses his arm from that chainsaw accident. He works at the hotel and he gets everybody's bags for them, brings them up to their rooms. In the beginning of the show, it's revealed that he lost his arm, got cut off by a chainsaw or something. I forget how. But then the whole show, they like set up these different scenes where you think, oh, this is going to be it. This is where he's going to lose it. He's like crafting some ice sculpture with his chainsaw. Then like a plow goes by and he almost loses his arm a couple times. You think this is going to be it. This is going to be it. Definitely how he loses it. And then no, he doesn't lose it that way. And it just loses it some other way at the end. But
well, it is similar because of the way that they just build it up.
Right. Like the whole time you're like, oh, this is how it's going to be. And then for Tiger King, the whole time you're like, oh, he definitely lost his legs from a tiger ripping them off. Let's see how it happened.
They know you're waiting for that. And then when he does say it is pretty cool. I don't think losing your legs is cool, but if there has to be a coolness factor to it, falling 50 feet off of a zip line, it's pretty cool. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, and breaking just shattered everything.
Kind of badass.
Yeah. And not to mention, I heard that he fell on like a 6-inch spike in the ground that just impaled It was like his stomach or his liver or something.
Wow.
And the fact that that man looks as normal as he does now is amazing. So if we can fix him, this corona thing has met its match.
Mm-hmm. It's done for.
I say just let that doctor who dealt with him deal with that. That's just like a miracle. If you think, like, imagine falling 50 feet and having one of your main organs popped right open.
It's like that. No, I know I keep going back to the comparisons, but it's like that commercial right now where there's this guy standing on the side of the street and like his buddy passed out. And the cops show up. They're like, hey, what happened? They're like, oh, and he's got like this 10-foot rod just going through his stomach. And he doesn't know it. He's acting like, oh, no, not a big deal. My friend here passed out. We got to help him.
Wow.
You don't know that one?
I'm out of the loop.
It's like this guy. He's standing there in the middle of the street, right? And these paramedics come up to him. They're like, what happened here? And then they realize, they're like, oh, no shit. He's got like a 10-foot metal rod going right through his stomach. And he's like, oh, my, yeah, can you come over here and help? My friend here passed out. And his friend is passed out clearly from seeing this rod just impale his friend. But he's like, nah, he's just passed out. We just got to help him real quick. Everything will go back to normal after that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. But
it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just a 10-foot rod instead of a 6-inch spike. I mean, not the same thing, but that's what reminded me of it.
I mean, tomato. I have my favorite thing about Carol. One thing I do like about Carol is that she's allergic to cats.
Yeah.
And when she said that, it just kind of clicked for me that she's basically the crazy cat lady that wasn't allowed to have actual cats, which may have made her actually worse.
Yeah, it's like her parents growing up were like, no, you can't have any cats. So then once she got out, she was like, oh, yeah, watch this, Mom and Dad. I'm going to have some fucking cats.
Well, it's like she had to find a loophole. So instead of living with like 20 cats in her house, she just had to pretend to save tigers by keeping them in her backyard and like giving them cute names like Simba and Olaf and anything from like Disney movies.
Yeah.
And like I said, the Hall of Fame plaques of all the dead tigers that she just says, this one was a special tiger.
That's her voice.
I don't know like what to do. I don't want to stereotype. She doesn't have a southern accent. She's from Tampa. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she was fine.
That's another thing. I feel bad for anybody who lives specifically in the Oklahoma one, because at least Florida's kind of a destination where people, if you're going to go on vacation, people go to Florida.
It's a desired place to be.
Well, whoa. Let's not tackle Oklahoma here. That's like my whole thing about this point. But more people have been to Florida than have been to Oklahoma. So when people think of Oklahoma now, they're just going to be like, oh, Joe Exotic. And like, that's what they're all like. Like everybody in Oklahoma must just be like Joe Exotic. And I'm like, I just feel bad for the people of Oklahoma who are now like going to be stereotyped into that.
Right. Like they're like, oh, I didn't want anything to do with this guy. He ran for governor and I said, no, absolutely not. This must be a sick joke. But now they have to live with that because Joe Exotic is now the probably state animal.
Yeah, I agree. If it's not tigers, it's Joe Exotic.
And they're probably going to change it within the next couple of months here.
Yeah, I mean, once he gets out of jail, what's that, like 60? He had like something crazy. Was it like 69? I got to look up how many years he got.
He was going to get 79 years, but he ended up getting set at the end 22 years in prison.
Oh, that's not that bad.
No, he lucked out, I think. But how old is he already? I mean, he's got to be up there.
Let's see. I think he'll live through it. He's 57. He'll be fine. I have a couple other things that I wanted to bring up. First off, this is my big take, my bold take of the whole show.
Okay.
Carol and Joe don't actually hate each other. In fact, what if they actually love each other?
You think Joe is playing the gay card as a disguise?
Well, I was going to bring that. I was going to bring that up. I know there's complications, including the fact that Joe's gay, but like, hear me out on this. If Joe wanted to kill her so bad and was willing to like pay someone to do it, why did he wait so long to do it? Like, if you hate somebody, you just kind of want them to go away. It's like that situation when there's kids in middle school and they don't really know what love is or how to express their feelings or anything. So when they see a person that makes them feel like different and get the butterflies and all that stuff, they just bully the piss out of them. And I think that's what's going on with these two. They just don't really know how to express their feelings for each other.
Oh, wait, wouldn't that be something out of left field after this thing came out?
That might bring it all together. That's the only thing that makes it add up to me, where I'm like, why does any of this stuff happen?
It'd be one of the biggest plot twists of the year, of the century. I like that. That's not a bad take. It's something nobody else is thinking about.
Well, I think it's something that could actually happen. It makes sense more than most things I say.
It's so much doesn't make sense that it makes sense.
Exactly. Thank you. That's all I can ask
Yeah.
for. And like my mom used to tell me all the time, like she's only being mean to you because she likes you, which never turned out to be true for me. But like, if it's a saying, it's probably been true in the past.
Right. Like how many times have you heard that in your life? Like our parents say it to somebody, like your little cousin or something. Like I've heard that so many times. Never have seen it to be true.
There's a first for everything.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, this show is full of firsts.
This show was a first. Yeah.
My main actual takeaway is that polygamy is alive and well. I think that's what I got out of the show the most. Maybe not what I was supposed to take away.
I love that. Yes. Because I was thinking that.
I'm sure like the themes of greed and just evil and the crazy minds of people and how we're treating tigers are supposed to be what we're thinking about. But for me, it was just the polygamy.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to talk about that Doc guy who had something like 9 wives. I almost said 9
Doc
wives.
Antle?
Sure. But like, and they're all like pretty attractive.
Yeah.
And one of the former ones that was in his cult wives kind of thing called him a chick getter. And that just pissed me off. Like more than anything in the whole show. Mind you, this guy is equally as crazy as anyone we've mentioned so far.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like John Travolta from Pulp Fiction, just like with a little bit more air pumped into him.
He does, with like a soul patch and white hair. Just give him a soul patch.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that earlier.
Because the whole time I was thinking, like, this guy looks like somebody that I've seen before. The John Travolta one, I think that's spot on.
Stick like a bike air pump in his mouth and just give him like little 15 pumps. And then I think you, like if you did that to John Travolta, you'd be good.
Right.
It would be exactly the same. The point is, the female brain is a complicated thing that I just don't know if I'll ever understand. That's what I've gotten from the show.
I've gotten that it seems like if you own tigers or are in the animal industry at all, you can get chicks or guys, whatever you prefer.
All my opinions have really changed. Where I hated Carol, I'm trying to find a reason to like Carol. Where I felt happy about knowing that Joe didn't sing the songs, I want to believe that he did sing the songs. And where I wanted to think that I wasn't as crazy as all these people, now I wish I was as crazy as all these people. Because I was feeling good about the fact that I'd never be as crazy as any of these people, but now I actually feel bad, like maybe even envious, despite like everything that we're saying and all the people outside the show are saying. Mm-hmm. Like these people possibly have the best love lives that anyone could ask for, all of them.
Right? And they seem like they have a ton of sex.
For sure.
Yeah, they must.
For sure. Hell, like Carol killed her fucking husband and already remarried.
And that guy seems like he's not worried about it at all.
I can't tell if like he was a hired actor or not. It kind of felt like he was.
I can see that.
He looks like he belongs in like an old Western movie as like the quiet criminal that just yodels on his porch.
I think he's not the criminal. He's just a guy that you see for like 2 seconds that yodels on his porch. I don't think he has any other role than that.
He's the guy who doesn't say where the villain is, even though he knows that they're hiding like in the back of his saloon. Although he probably doesn't own a saloon, like maybe in the back of his, I don't know, private accounting firm, whatever he runs. And Joe remarried quick. It doesn't seem too bad, man.
Yeah,
like
no, never. I mean, Joe had to get over his husband killing himself, which was wild.
Well, yeah, I don't feel envious there. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Maybe a question that you can't answer. Would you run a tiger farm if you could have 9 wives? Seems like a decent trade-off, right?
No. Why would I want 9 wives at one time? I mean, I know there's obvious answers. Yes, I understand that, but I think that would be too much for me. I think
it'd be too many wives.
Too many. If you hit me with like 3, you might have sold me.
So there's a max on 3 wives.
Maybe.
I think that's a fair answer because I think of like
9.
I feel like you would have to have family.
That's a lot.
Isn't the point of having a marriage, a lot of it's family oriented. So if you're going to start a family, I feel like 9 times that's going to be like, that's at least possibly 9 kids. Like you're not going to have 9 wives and then have less than 3 kids. That's not going to happen.
I mean, it's going to be hard. Like, where are we going on Christmas? Where are we going on Thanksgiving? You know, whose in-laws' house am I going to? I'm not going to know that.
Well, that one's actually pretty easy because I don't think he allows any of them to leave the house.
Oh, well, this is me. This is my scenario with 9 wives. So we would be able to,
right? Unless you also didn't want to let them leave.
Right. I mean, it'd be like we could alternate every single year where we go for Christmas, and it'd be like, all right, guys, well, see you again in 10 years. I got to go to my other wife's houses next year.
Okay. We wanted to make just a special section for some of the best moments of the show. We already talked about some of the good moments, but there's a few things that just stood out to us that we knew we kind of had to rant about. So this is like our best of segment, or our best moments, little small things that happen, possibly. Little top. How many do you have? I have 2, kind of an honorary.
3 things that I wanted to bring up.
Okay. What is your? Do we want to go reverse order up to number 1?
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Okay. So I guess I'll go first because I already mentioned my third one, and that's why it's at 3.
Sure.
If I didn't already mention it, it wasn't at 1. But it's the Power Tower. The Power Tower, I think I felt proud of it because it was something that I noticed that I don't know if a lot of other people noticed.
Had no idea.
But it makes a quick appearance, and I think they just were like, yeah, there's a power tower in the back of that. We got to get that out of the way. Because I didn't see it in like any other shots besides like maybe 2 in early on episode.
So you really had to catch on quick, and you did.
I made sure to make a note of that. Power Tower, Carol Baskins, she's ready for anybody who's coming after her because she's just been dipping and chin up and pull up and steadily. So I think that's definitely one of my favorite things from the show.
My number 3, it wasn't really like a fun thing. It was just the craziest part of the whole thing for me was the video, like the security camera footage of Joe's campaign manager when he ran for governor, watching Joe's husband accidentally kill himself.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It was just like, that was like the craziest part of the whole thing for me. Just watching his reaction to seeing that happen. I mean, I can't imagine being in his shoes and just watching that. What do you do in that moment?
I mean, you'd probably do exactly what he did, which is just like sit there. He did stare at it a little bit too long.
He did, right? I thought so. I'm like, well, get up and do something. Like, call somebody. Somebody has to know, right?
Or just like, don't look at it. Like that just, I don't think that's something that my eyes would just like stay on.
It's like something you got to keep glancing back at. Like whenever somebody, like when you were in school and somebody was throwing up, it wasn't like something you had to stare at the whole time, but you always wanted to
no,
check.
You have to look away.
Well, you have to look away, but you got to do a quick check every now and again to see like what's going on, like assess the situation.
Well, I mean, nothing's going to be going on.
We got to see if they're still puking. You got to see if they're moving towards you. You don't want to get
he's not still puking. He's not doing anything.
I'm just comparing the two situations. I think it's similar to that.
Okay. I thought maybe a bit of a conspiracy theory here. I feel like the camera was a little bit too perfectly placed on that because you can't see him. You can see the guy's reaction. Mm-hmm. But it's perfectly placed to where you cannot see whatever his name is.
I think his name was Travis.
You can't see him in the frame at all. That just seemed a little fishy to me.
Okay, so you're not sold on the whole thing.
Not sold on it. But if it did happen for real, and if I'm wrong, which I probably am, as I'm wrong a lot, I don't want to be offensive in saying that, but I just want to offer my original thoughts.
That's all we're doing here.
We're all here for. Yeah. That's what we're here for. Mm-hmm. People find what we have to say somewhat interesting, or they just stumble upon it hoping that it was somebody else talking. But I take it if you're like an hour into the show, you probably want to hear like somewhat of what we have to say or what Wyatt has to say. And like, I'm sorry for that if you're here for that reason.
Those people, which I'm sure there are many, are pissed right now.
Yeah. Number 2 is Joe's kind of pickup line to Travis when he said that Travis said that he wasn't gay. And then Joe said to him, well, do you watch porn? And Travis goes, yeah. And Joe said, well, do you like the porns with the big dicks fucking her or with the small dicks fucking her? And he said, well, the big dicks. And Joe said, well, you ain't that straight, which may be the best argument that I've ever heard.
Now,
and like,
when I first heard it, I said, I was like, that's not bad. That's pretty good logic.
It's actually kind of genius that even like for a moment I was trying to poke holes in it. I was like, maybe I'm gay.
Right. No, I know. For a second, I had to question myself. It's like you got to pause the video and think about it. Like, man, I don't know. My whole life's been a lie.
Yeah, I had to take a break. I had to take a break for a minute just to psychoanalyze, and regroup. Yeah. So that was my number 2.
My number 2 was, so when the whole like recording studio and the Gator building got blown up, right?
Yeah.
When it burnt down, there was a clip as they were describing the whole thing of a couple of the guys carrying a gator, I believe, like one that had burned to death, out somewhere. He was like they were carrying him on like a stretcher with a cloth over him. You know what I mean? And one of Joe's husbands said, I think it was Travis, the guy that ended up killing himself. He had a shirt on that said "Gator Done."
Wow.
During that. And it was like, I mean, obviously it was a play on words with "get her done," but and then it also was, yes, this gator is done. It is finished. Like, I don't know if he did that on purpose just for the camera.
Do you think he had that one in the closet and he was just waiting for the perfect day to wear that shirt? And he was like,
so then
here we go.
It made me think maybe Travis was behind the whole thing.
I feel like, that should be the biggest evidence that he did it over anybody.
Gator done.
Like
Gator done.
If you were looking for evidence, they were like trying to get fingerprints and stuff like that. And I just look at the man's shirt.
Right.
That should say it all.
I mean, seriously, I was like, wow, if that's not a setup, if that's not on purpose, I don't know what is.
If that ain't country, I'll kiss my ass.
If your son's name is Dale Jr. and your name isn't Dale, you're probably a redneck.
Anyway, my number 1 was pretty early on. I forget what the setup was, but Joe was talking at a school, and they just took out this clip where he says, drugs will make your teeth fall out and you'll be ugly and won't have any friends, which may be the most ironic statement.
Yes.
In the history of statements, seeing as all the meth heads in the show only have like 10 teeth.
Yes. And his ex-husband.
Yeah, including his ex-husband, who also wasn't gay. He had 2 ex-husbands that were not gay.
Right, which is impressive, I think.
I think so. I mean, that means his pickup line. That goes back to the last one. That pickup line works.
It must have.
If I had to think quick on my feet, it might have worked on me. But I want to be clear. Like we said earlier, like the fat shaming thing, this isn't a teeth shaming thing. Like I've had my own struggles with teeth in the past, few cavities here and there, root canal or 2.
Right, we're just going off of what Joe said.
Well, the teeth thing isn't shaming. It's just a fact. Like there was a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Who were missing few toofers. Like they didn't have any of their teeth. And that's just true. I mean, that's just how I say teeth. I don't do that. Like, I'm not trying to like say that that's how they pronounce it, although that's probably how they would pronounce it. But like, we're definitely not teeth shaming. I'm not sure if we're meth shaming. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm trying to think.
I don't know what we're doing. All I know is stop snitching.
Stop snitching. And like meth, I'm not sure if we're shaming, but if we are, it's more like that friend that makes fun of the other friend for being chubby and like to try to inspire them to lose weight. Like we're just trying to make you better.
Right. We're trying to better you in the end.
Yeah. We're definitely an anti-meth show. Like,
yeah. No meth.
But that being said, if you use meth while listening to the show, I can't stop you.
We won't even know.
Yeah. Whether you do meth or not, as long as you're listening, like you're a friend of mine. So
my number 1 is that Joe his obviously ran for tried to run for president there for a little bit and ran for governor of Oklahoma. His campaign manager was before he was the campaign manager, was a manager at Walmart, a local Walmart.
I mean, I'd say that's, and now I'm falling in my own trap of stereotyping. I was gonna say, like, that's got to be one of the second highest, like, quality jobs that are in Oklahoma, but I don't want to say that. That's Joe. That's kind of influencing me.
It was funny to me just because a manager at Walmart. I mean, I don't think that's like a top tier job. Maybe it is in Oklahoma. I don't know. But to go from that to campaign manager of, for somebody that's running for governor of your state, I mean, that's quite the promotion. Good for that guy.
I just like thinking about Joe reading his resume and seeing manager at Walmart. Oh my God. Can we get this guy on the phone? Like, I just think of him seeing that line and just kind of looking around like, this guy wants to apply for this? We just got a genius.
Joe said, get one of the Tigers ready. I'm riding that bitch down to Walmart and finding me that manager. He's coming back here with me.
That's our top moments from Tiger King. I think that puts a bow on all of our thoughts, our main thoughts.
Oh, at the end, clearly Jeff Love was bringing in that nanny so he could have sex with her.
Yes. Yeah. That was that is a very good.
That was pretty obvious.
Late addition. Notable moment. Yeah. Which is bad. I thought his wife was like very attractive. She was redheaded.
True.
That kind of plays into my game. Anyway, those are our thoughts on Tiger King. Thank you for listening. We have a few cool things out right now. We're going to keep doing episodes, try to stay on them. Our website is up at slaphappy.us. We have all of our podcasts there. We are going to have more blogs on the website. There's a really old one that's outdated that's up there now. And yeah, hopefully getting you guys some more content as much as we can. But in the meantime, thanks for listening and stay safe.
We'll smell you guys later.